Hello everyone, and welcome back to another R tutorial video. And in this video, I want to wrap up our discussion of the basics of how to use RStudio by talking about some of the tabs and buttons that I find particularly helpful. So you'll see that we've sort of left off where we're starting where we left off in our previous RStudio tutorial video. And what I want to do is I want to talk about all the different, or most of the tabs that I find useful, and I want to talk about some buttons that do different things that can save you a lot of time and help clear a lot of clutter out. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about how we can clear the console. So it's entirely plausible that if you've been dealing with an RStudio session for quite a while, that your console may start to get kind of cluttered and have a lot of things in there that you don't particularly need anymore. And there's a button over here, it looks like a little whisk broom. If you highlight your mouse over it, you will see that the mouse now looks like a little hand. And if you click this, you'll see that it actually clears the entirety of the console. And that just helps sort of clean up and make things a little more clear. The other thing that I want to talk about is this broom up here. So this broom functions the same way that this broom does down here, except what this do is this will clear the objects from your workspace. So say that you've done something with R and you've made a lot of variables and you don't want to risk having issues when you run some new code, and you actually want to clear out all the old stuff out of here. So if you click this little broom here, you'll see that it asks, are you sure that you want to remove all objects from the environment? This operation cannot be undone. So obviously, because it's popping up to tell you, you need to be careful here, but this is a good way, again, of clearing out your workspace if you have a whole bunch of things that you're afraid are going to cause problems. So you just click yes, and you'll see that this emptied out as well. So that's a good way of using the clear functions to sort of clean out your RStudio session. The other thing that I want to talk about while I'm in this environment tab here is the import dataset button. If you click this, you'll see that it has a whole bunch of different options, and I'm not going to go through them all, of sort of GUI based ways. So if you click from Excel, for example, you'll see that it will ask you to install a package. I'm not going to do that right now, but assuming that you go through the process of getting everything set up properly, you can click import dataset and you can actually pull in datasets without ever having to touch the console. So that can kind of be useful. The other tab that I want to talk about while I'm up here is this history tab. And history is actually kind of important because, as you can see here, we've just accidentally cleared our console. We've cleared our workspace environment over here. And let's just say, for example, we accidentally deleted var4 from our script. So there's no record of it anywhere. We don't have the variable over here. We don't have a record of it in the console. We accidentally deleted it from over here. Now, obviously, we could use Control-Z to undo, but let's just assume that maybe we didn't. We did this far earlier in the session and we can no longer undo it. This history function here is extremely useful because what it does is it keeps a record of everything that you've done in this RStudio session. And it's going to look very much like the console because it's in line order of what you've executed. So just like before, there's a broom here to clear. I would advise against clearing your history because it is an extremely useful thing. In case you make a mistake somewhere else, you can always come here. The nice thing about the history is this to console and to source. So if you click on a line of code, because we deleted var4 here, if you click to console, it'll actually put it down here for you to run again. If you click here and you click to source, you'll see that I didn't do a good job of it, but let's clear that out. Let's put my cursor on an empty line here. If you click to source, you'll see that it actually puts it up in here in your script. So this history tab is a great way of grabbing things that you've accidentally lost. And just as a, let me make it so it's clear what I'm doing here. There's actually a shortcut here. If you double click, it goes down into the console. If you shift double click, it goes into the script. So you can use the 2 console and 2 script buttons, or you can use enter and shift enter, or you can double click and shift double click to take stuff from your history into either the console or your script. And again, this is an extremely useful way of grabbing things that you may have lost. So those 2 tabs are the most useful in terms of this pane here. Down here, most of the time you're going to want to be on the plots tab, because that's going to show you plots that you've made and allow you to interact with plots. We're not going to go through making plots. That's going to be its own video series. But what I do want to do is I want to show you this other tab here, packages. So in case you're not familiar with how R works on this concept of packages. So packages are chunks of code that people have authored, that they have shared with the community. And packages are really what give R its versatility and its power. So there obviously are ways that you can install packages in code through install.packages. Right, so if we want to install packages, we can do that this way. And then library. Right, between install.packages and library, this would let you use packages through code. Alternatively, if you're using RStudio, you can click on this packages tab, and you'll see here that if we scroll down, it has all of these packages that have already been installed. So let's just say that we wanted to use the mass package. So if I click this check mark here, you'll see that it automatically ran the code here, and so we now have access to the mass package. Same thing if I wanted the NLME for nonlinear mixed effects models. You'll see that it did the exact same thing. So let's assume here now that maybe we have a package that we don't have in this list, but we know that it exists. You can click this install packages here. If you click in here, you can search for a package. So let's just say that we want the GIS tools package, which we're going to be showcasing in its own video series. You'll see that you can just click it, and now if I click install, you'll see that it over here runs that same piece of install.packages code, but we didn't actually have to type anything in. And then now if we go down here to system library, or sorry, user library, you'll see that GIS tools is now available to us, and if we check it, you'll see that we've called it into the library, and now we actually have access to it in our RStudio session. So again, I know that was a little bit confusing, so let's go back through and let's sort of reiterate what we did here. This packages tab here gives you an interactive ability to use the library function to pull packages into your R session, as well as the install button here to download new packages from the internet. So hopefully this all made sense. If any part of it was confusing, I encourage you to pause the video, go back, rewatch the parts you're confused about, and as always, please reach out. Thank you.